This is Personal Injury Court.
Good day, everyone. This is the matter of Madison versus Connor. Mr. and Mrs. Madison, it's my understanding that you, Mr. Madison, sustained severe injuries to your eye when a pitchfork destroyed it at an event on Mr. Connor's farm. It's my understanding that you are seeking past medical expenses of $600,000, future medical expenses of $300,000, and pain and suffering for $1.1 million for a total award of $2 million. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Connor, your position in this case is that he knew what was going on. This is a freak accident that's not really anybody's fault, but certainly not yours.
That's correct. Yes, Your Honor.
All right, well, let's get into the legal sauce. Now, you all used to be buddies, right? How long have y'all known each other?
Well, we met back in college, Your Honor, and we used to hang out all the time. We had many conversations, and one of those led to charity, and that's how we came up with the idea to enter into the barnyard games.
Now, barnyard games, what are barnyard games?
We modeled this around anything you might find laying around a barnyard.
Okay.
And we tried to come up with interesting activities to do with those tools. For instance, rake relay and the garden shear toss and pitch ball.
You all are throwing tools around?
Yes.
Okay. And you said it's a charity event. Who's the charity for?
It's for underprivileged kids.
Okay, that's a good thing.
Each donor that comes in, they pay a flat fee to enter the games, and then 75% goes to the charity, and we keep 25%.
And Mr. Connor, you remember these barnyard games that you and Mr. Madison came up with?
I thought the charity was a great idea. I mean, it always gets back to kids like I grew up. I didn't have a whole lot growing up, and that's what made us come up with it, but I agreed to host it, and it was on my grandfather's land. He's got 100 acres. It's perfect for this kind of event.
This your grandfather's farm?
It is. I grew up there. I've had a lot of fun there as a child.
So tell me what happened on the day you got injured.
On the day of the event, a large crowd gathered around the pitch ball field.
And by pitch ball, what do you mean?
Okay, so pitch ball is exactly like baseball, except you use a pitchfork as a bat and a soccer ball as the baseball.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what happened?
On the day of the event, the crowd gathered. They were excited for the game. We started playing. I started pitching the first few pitches, and the defendant here swung at one of those pitches and smacked the ball. The pitchfork vibrated in a way that I had not heard before. It made a metal on wood sound that it just didn't sound good. We continued on after I warned him to take it easy again, the second time with him swinging with all his might, like he was going for a home run hit or something. So then that's when the pitchfork actually broke on impact.
And then what happens to you?
And then I see the end of the pitchfork flying towards my face, and it made impact. I felt the bone crush on impact. I felt the piece of metal slide into my eye socket.
Michael, I said I was sorry, and I've tried to help.
Mr. Connor, you saw this. You saw your buddy get hit in the face with a pitchfork.
Yes, I did, and it scared me to death. I thought I killed him. I ran to him immediately. I hollered for them to call 911. I did what I could.
Mr. Madison, you remember him being concerned about you?
Your Honor, I was in unbearable pain. I didn't know who was screaming. I was bleeding. I couldn't see out of my right eye.
Your Honor, there was a conversation prior to the games that day where we had noticed that some of the equipment was older, and the defendant had said that he was going to replace the pitchfork.
And you were there for that conversation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I overheard the whole thing.
Look, I did say I was going to replace it, and I did forget. But I also said that we did not have to play this game. There was other games that we could have played, and I did tell him we could skip it.
So Mr. Madison talked about this sound when you swung the pitchfork and hit the ball. Did you hear that sound?
I mean, it scared me to death because the time broke off and it flew into his eye. And
So Mr. Madison, he hears the crack, you hear the crack. Why didn't y'all just stop?
Because we had everyone out there, sir, and he had already agreed to take it easy before the game even started.
Okay, so
I reminded
Mrs.
him.
Madison, you remember him saying, "I'll take it easy"?
Yeah, I absolutely overheard my husband tell him to take it easy, and he said that he would, but he was too busy trying to impress some girl that was in the audience.
I wasn't.
Well, Mrs. Madison, do you remember Mr. Connor coming to care after his friend?
Honestly, I was in such a state of shock seeing my husband collapse on the ground. I thought my husband was dead on the ground in front of me.
This is a freak accident. I did not hurt nobody on purpose.
This wasn't a freak
I wouldn't wish
accident.
this on my worst enemy. This was not.
So you were
could
frightened
have
too.
replaced it.
When you saw the pitchfork hit Mr. Madison in the face, you were frightened.
thought I killed him. The ball was coming towards me. He threw it. He was smiling, I was smiling. Everybody's having a good time. He threw the ball, and I swung. And as soon as it made contact, I felt the pop. I heard it. And immediately after I heard everybody scream, it just happened so fast, and it scared me to death. And I ran to him. I didn't know if I killed him or not. I didn't know what happened.
So when you swing, that pitchfork comes off the end, it comes flying and hits him in the face. You're at home plate watching this.
Yes.
So then you run to his
I
aid.
ran straight to him, and I screamed out. I told him, I said, call 911.
Now you got a pitchfork here. Was it that kind of pitchfork that you were swinging?
It was.
On the plasma here, we got a picture of what looks like the pitchfork. Is that what hit you in the eye, Mr. Madison?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that your blood on that pillow there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Next, we have an x-ray. This is your head?
Yes, Your Honor.
So this pitchfork destroyed your eye.
I've lost my eye, Your Honor.
That x-ray could make you pretty nauseous, I imagine. Does for me. I can't imagine the pain. Mrs. Madison, I see you cringing. What was going through your mind when your husband's lying there with this pitchfork sticking in his eye?
Well, my first thought was I didn't even know if he was alive or dead. You can see the length of that. I don't know if it's just in his eye, if it's gone all the way through his skull. I have no idea.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, could you even imagine seeing your husband laying on the ground in front of you? For all I knew, I could be at his funeral today instead of here in
ma'am.
court.
Look, we was all at risk when we played, though, and I tried to help him.
No one would have been at risk if you-
How did you try to help him?
I did everything I could. I worked and tried to give cash towards the family to help them with the expenses. I did what I could
Mr.
to
Connor,
try to
this
help.
sounds like this breaks your heart, too.
He's my best friend. We've been through so much together.
This is truly a tragedy.
This
Truly a
is not
tragedy.
my fault.
If he was
It
your
was
best-
his idea the whole time.
Did you know, Mr. Connor, that this pitchfork was bad?
I did, and I told him I would replace it. But I also told him I forgot, and I told him that we could play anything else. What he went to was this is his moneymaker, and he kept repeating that. He wanted to play for greed.
So, Mr. Madison, if you knew that the pitchfork was concerning, why did you continue?
Because he had agreed to take it easy. Because he had failed to get the new pitchfork.
And did you take it easy?
I was playing to win, but it wasn't.
He wasn't playing to win. He was playing to impress a girl from the audience.
I was not impressed.
Well, listen, guys, that touches me. We men have gotten to a lot of difficult spots trying to impress a woman, okay? Miss Madison, you saw this swing. How do you characterize
You
it?
would think he was trying to hit it out of Fenway Park. You would think he was playing professional
I
baseball.
was playing for my charity.
It's for charity. People had already paid to be there. They weren't going to pay more just because he hit it harder.
At the last Barnyard games, there's not really a winner other than the kids, right?
Exactly.
How much did you all raise in the first Barnyard game? See,
370,000.
that's real. Congratulations to both of you for doing such a good thing. I've been a Santa for 20 years. Beard, makeup, everything. The kids think I'm a superstar, but I get more out of it than they do. So giving back is very important. Mr. Madison, you have asked this court to award you $600,000 for past medical expenses and $300,000 for future medical expenses. I want to get the doctor in to tell us about your injuries and what we're looking at. So let's get Dr. Neelam Vaughn in.
All right, yes, sir.
Good day, doctor. How are you?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Could you state your name for the record?
Dr. Neelam Vaughn.
Doctor, describe the nature and extent of Mr. Madison's injuries.
Well, first, he suffered a traumatic brain injury, but not one where you can't walk or talk or do for yourself, but one where it basically stunned his brain, like a concussion. And secondly, he ruptured his globe of his eye, so he totally lost his vision and has to have the eye removed. You can see how close that pitchfork is all the way here, and your brain is just right there.
What are the long-term effects, Doc?
Well, there's retraining yourself how to drive, how to walk. There's intimacy issues between he and his wife, and just socially going about with one eye missing, it really does affect you.
Thank you, doctor. We appreciate you.
My
You are
pleasure.
released.
Thank you.
Mrs. Madison, an injury to a husband is an injury to a family. Tell me how this has been for you as the chief of the family caring for your husband.
been a nightmare. I mean, since day one, obviously he's very disfigured, but it's not just the physical parts. Obviously, she said, you know, there's balance issues, there's the fact that he can't do the things that he loves to do anymore, but really the mental side effects of that are so much worse. He's depressed. He doesn't want to leave the house except to go to doctor's appointments.
I offered for us to reschedule and postpone it. You know, until we could have got another pitchfork. I offered for us to play anything else.
This whole thing could have been avoided.
Exactly, and he pushed and pushed. This is his moneymaker.
Anything, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Madison, were you pushing to get this done this day?
Not at all. He had months to get this new equipment. He had months to get the new equipment.
But on the day of the swing, did you push him despite hearing this pitchfork
I did not
weird
push him.
sound?
The only thing I said is I will agree to play if you agree to take it easy because you're using an old pitchfork. Like I was saying, he had months to get the new equipment, and he failed to do so. And then on the day of the event, after we have hundreds, almost 1,000 donors there, then he tells me he don't have the right equipment.
So this happens in front of the donors with
Yes.
hundreds of people there.
Yes, after we sent out flyers and posted on social media about this, then he tells me that he failed to do the one job that I gave him.
Your Honor, there is only one person at fault here, and it's the defendant for his recklessness.
Y'all could have stopped this, right? When you heard the pitchfork make the sound.
He was
True?
the one who swung it. It was not in anyone else's hands.
But before he swung it, you all could have said, hold on, that made a weird sound, right?
we did say
We
that.
did, and we stopped him.
And Mr. Connor, frankly, you heard the sound too. You could have stopped
said
it.
that we could play any other game. This is what he wanted to play. He kept saying it's his money maker. That came out of his mouth. That was his word. I was here for the charity. I was here for the children. He was here for the greed and the money. That is what got him hurt.
That is a
He's a
desperate
victim
plea.
of his own greed.
That is
It
a
not
desperate
my
plea
fault.
from a guilty
I could be
man.
on the other side of this.
I know it's important to you. I can see it on your face. Mr. Madison, Mrs. Madison, you all are asking this court for $1.1 million for pain and suffering.
Yes.
Tell me about that experience. That's a lot of money.
From the day that it happened, it's been nothing but trauma. Not just physically, but emotionally. I mean, my wife doesn't even look at me the same anymore.
Your Honor, our entire lives have changed because of this. This is not just medical injuries. He's going to have these for the rest of his life. We were talking about kids, and now that's not even a concern right now.
What's your daily experience like with having one eye?
I can't balance. She has to walk me from place to place. I reach for things and I miss them. Like as simple as reaching for a cup of coffee and I'm a foot off. And then looking in a mirror and seeing a nasty, empty hole where I used to have a nice eye.
And you blame your best friend for this?
Yes.
How about you
His
ask me about the help
negligence
I have
is what got us
provided
here.
since he's been hurt?
Tell me about the help you provided to your friend.
I have given money to help with bills since he currently can't work. If he needs errands ran, I try to help.
It sounds like he's trying to make a good case for you, Your Honor.
A few $100s towards bills. We have $600,000
freak
so far.
accident.
Mrs. Madison, think about this. What's the biggest change in your husband since he lost his eye?
Probably his confidence.
Every personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove three things. The plaintiff has to prove that the defendant was wrong and that the defendant's wrong caused your harm. This was an event that should not have had y'all meet me today. You all thought that swinging the pitchfork was going to be a safe thing. Despite the cracking sound, you thought he was going to take it easy. Even though he told you that he was going to replace it, you knew he didn't replace it. But if he took it easy, this would go fine. Instead, what you all have said is he swung too hard and the top of this pitchfork came off and destroyed your eye and changed your life forever. Mr. Connor, your heart was in the right place. You were concerned about this pitchfork, but not such that you thought it would harm your best friend. I know you didn't intend this. You did this event with Mr. Madison before. You all as buddies have done a great thing. You were playing just like you had played before. But the law does not require people to intend the results of an act. What the law requires is that no one suspend their common sense and that you intend to do the act which causes harm. If that act is reckless, then despite your heart, your relationship, your feelings, the law would hold you responsible. You had the last act in the chain of events that caused this injury. Because you swung too hard, I must find against you. I find in favor of the plaintiffs, and I'm going to award you $600,000 for past medical expenses, $300,000 for future medical expenses, and $1.1 million for pain and suffering, for a total award of $2 million. That is my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned. Our attorneys across America just viewed this case for the first time. Let's hear what Hoyt Tessner has to say.
Two key facts turn this case for the plaintiff. First, as the pitcher, he assumed only the risk of the defendant hitting him with a soccer ball. There was no way for him to anticipate that the batter would swing hard enough to break the pitchfork. Also, Mr. Connor had promised to replace the old pitchfork and get a new one for this event. Mr. Connor failed to do so. The plaintiff got forked.